Hey, Dr. Trash here, and today I would like to talk about Total War Warhammer 3 and why it's going to fail. Okay, before getting to the video, I want to say I don't actually think it's going to be a bad game, I just think it stands no chance compared to the first 3 games. But speaking of the first 3 games, let's start here. So, on 24th of April 2016, Creative Assembly launched Total War Warhammer 1. The game was the first one to combine a round-based strategy game with real-time battles in a fantasy setting. Creative Assembly took a big risk by doing so, since they had to bring 2 fanbases together and easily could have pissed off both at once. On the one hand, Total War fans that were used to historical settings and therefore were not too happy at all when they heard that not only the settings would change, but the gameplay as well, with flying units, magic and so on being implemented. And on the other hand, Warhammer fans that anticipated Creative Assembly to ruin the beloved world and to completely change it up to a point where they would not even recognize it again. But yeah, it took the gamble and it paid out. While the game was by any means not flawless, was it still pretty solid and most of the concerns were washed away. The game had enough of the old Total War in it and most of the new gameplay mechanics turned out to be needed additions. The result of all of that was that the game broke the franchise record for sales just within a few days and currently has over 1.5 million copies sold. Thanks to the success, CA released a bunch of DLCs, and 1.5 years later, in September 2017, the second part that contained the even bigger map, the Vortex, and most important beloved factions like the High Elves and the Skaven that people were hyped for since the announcement trailer for the first game. And while the game still sold pretty good, stood it no chance against the success of the first game. The hype for this new and unique game that combines fantasy setting, real-time battles and round-based strategy was just not there anymore, and even new exciting factions and other additions couldn't make up for this. That brings us now to Total War Warhammer 3, since it has the same issues like part 2, but worse. At this point is the hype for the series just completely gone. People just would like to play a historical game rather than being stuck in the same fantasy world for a third time in a row. Also, can the game just not keep up with the previous 2 parts when it comes to starting factions? I mean, there are just a few left like Demons, Chaos Dwarves and Ogre Kingdom. And I know that doesn't sound too bad, but now compare it with High Elves, Dark Elves, Skaven or the Lizard Men. It's not even close. And I get that some nerds out there will come in their panties when they hear that Chaos Dwarves are going to be a thing, but the majority of the player base hardly even knows that faction. And the same counts for Demons and Ogres. The next big problem is that if demons, chaos dwarfs or ogres would be a thing, which is pretty likely at this point, would the map include a lot of chaos wasteland, which is actually just really annoying to play on. It is boring to look at compared to other map settings, and you cannot really flesh out all the details on the map that make the game look so beautiful. Also, a snow battle is just a big mess. I mean, you hardly see all the yellow marks, and this makes maneuvering feel real shitty. Also, are at least demons going to be a horde factions, maybe ogres and chaos dwarfs as well. I'm not that familiar with the lore here, but the main point is that horde factions are not that popular under the player base, myself included. I personally just don't like the fact that once you move 76% instead of 75%, you're not able to recruit units and build stuff. I mean, every turn I try to exactly move to 75%, and since there's no auto line for that, I often end up marching too long, which fucks me up to the point where I have to load the autosave file from the previous turn to get it correct this time. And believe me, I'm not the only one who prefers standard factions over horde factions. The last thing I want to mention is that the majority of the player base in every game, Warhammer included, enjoys playing as the good guys more than the bad guys. And ogres, demons and chaos dwarfs all belong to the bad guys. All of this just makes the gameplay experience for the majority of the players less enjoyable, which means less copies of the game being sold. NCA knows that and probably hasn't found a way to deal with those problems, which is why they announced Thrones of Pretend and Three Kingdoms to be the next big titles of the franchise. And I really hope that I'm wrong and that Total War Warhammer 3 is going to be a great success, but I just don't see it. So yeah, leave me your thoughts on this topic down in the comment section. Do you think it's going to fail? And if not, what makes you positive about it? But anyway, thanks for watching and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.